Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning to all the folks across the Tackle IO ecosystem. My name is John Dugan, and I'm delighted to chat with you today about how enterprise organizations succeed with marketplaces. Before we get into that, I just want to thank the Tackle organization and the partners, so partnership leaders, Microsoft, AWS, and Google. For their support on helping put on today's event. We've been a Tackle partner for quite some time. And certainly we work with all the partners that were listed today as supporting for this event. So we're super excited to be able to participate. So again, my name is John Dugan. I am the Senior Director of Cloud Go-to-Market at Pluralsight. We've been in business for quite some time. Basically, 2004 is when we were founded. We've got roughly over 2,000 employees today. And Pluralsight is essentially what we kind of view ourselves as a workforce transformation company. We believe that there's a big effort in trying to democratize education and skills development across the globe today. There's a massive talent gap and a skills shortage to fill. There's roughly around 10 million technology opportunities and roles across the globe today that are being unfilled or going unfilled. With something that we look to try to help. We work with roughly around 70% of the Fortune 500 companies. We've got roughly coming up on nearly 25,000 B2B accounts across our business. And we've got a large organization, as I said, the 2,000 employees, but on top of the 2,000 employees today, we work with an additional 2,000 plus expert authors that help craft, refine, and continue to advance the entire content landscape across Pluralsight and what many of you have come to know and love on the cloud side of things of a cloud guru. So a little bit of background on myself. I actually came to Pluralsight about 2 years ago by way of acquisition, and I ran partnerships and alliances at a cloud guru globally. I work, directly running point on our relationships with AWS, with Microsoft, with Google Cloud. And obviously, that's one of the big reasons why I'm here today. We're going to talk a little bit about the importance of marketplaces as an enterprise organization and how you all can leverage it. But as you're going through it, what are some of the questions you should be thinking about? And how has Tackle helped us really advance that motion in terms of what we've been able to accomplish over the last 4 to 5 years? So I want to kind of hit on 3 bold truths. I know that we talk a lot about, there might be a lot of like patting on the back, and I think what we're going to try to do is get very transparent here. We're going to try to talk about, the nitty gritty of like what matters and what you need to be concerned about when, evaluating marketplace as an enterprise organization. So I think first I'd like to step in is the strategy simple. A lot of people think that, hey, marketplace is simple. It's just another medium of where we can offer our solutions and our customers will come and buy it. Well, it's really not that simple. It's not a lot of the essence of it is build it and they will come. Hey, I'm going to list my product on AWS Marketplace. Hey, I'm going to list my product on the Azure Marketplace. The reality is that when you list the product, that's not going to take you to the promised land in the sense of, I've run into many organizations that think that they're just going to receive an influx of leads that, AWS is going to drive a load of leads to them, or, Microsoft or Google will drive a load of leads to them. And, in essence, you may run into some leads here or there, but they will be few and far between early on. I liken it very similarly to Salesforce, and it's a very powerful piece of software and tool that what you get out of it is what you invest in it. And really what you need to kind of understand is how does the actual solution, a marketplace, and we view it as kind of like a product or a procurement vehicle, how does that actually fit within your go-to-market, how you transact with your ecosystem, how you transact with your customers? Are you a more, direct to consumer, direct sales organization? Are you a, channel-centric organization and mostly selling through partners? So that could be resellers, VARs, managed service providers, distribution partners. There's a variety of things within marketplace that you need to be aware of and how it's going to fit your go-to-market. Specifically in, historically within the A Cloud Guru and Pluralsight framework, we traditionally were a direct sales organization. And so we had to go through a variety of, learning challenges or learning pains to really start to understand how we were going to take this to market, how our solutions fit through this specific motion and what solutions fit in this specific motion. Because while marketplace is fantastic for solutions or offerings such as like SaaS, or an AMI, or a metered solution, sometimes it may not be the most ideal solution. It still will be beneficial, but not the most ideal if it's maybe professional service. Sometimes you'll run into there are pros and cons of having SaaS solutions listed on marketplace versus a professional service. And as an enterprise organization, you likely are going to have a litany of SKUs, whether they're across SaaS or professional services. And so I think that internally you need to figure out what exactly is the business willing to support as you take this to market, because you certainly aren't looking to create friction with your various sales and go to market channels. You're not looking to do something as kind of like a cowboy off the reservation as the maverick, and list something that nobody's going to really adopt, and you're kind of fighting an uphill battle constantly. So I think that getting the strategy right really is a multi-threaded approach internally, so cross-functional. You're working with finance, you're working with product, you're working with probably your IT organization. So product, IT, and the engineering organization. Typically, it's one of those three organizations that manages the infrastructure of where you're listed when you're basically putting products on a marketplace. As an enterprise organization, we typically wanted to focus right off the bat on leveraging the cloud provider and going first with the cloud provider that we were predominantly hosted on. Where were we running most of our workloads and solutions out of? For our case, in the essence of Pluralsight, majority of our solutions at the beginning were being run off of AWS. And so for us, it was really focusing on how can then we, take advantage of every opportunity, every program to get our solutions listed. What solutions need to be listed? Obviously, a big focus is trying to get that strategy across all those different departments or organizations aligned with all the various intricacies of what can happen. Obviously, there's a fee associated with transacting through marketplaces. Finance and accounting, are they leaned in? Are they bought into what is going to go on there? Is it going to be viewed as a cost of goods sold, or is this going to impact the margin and the quota attainment and the commission that your sales organization is going to encounter? So I think there's a variety of things around strategy, the impact to the revenue, and just trying to simplify this as you go through it, because building it and they will come. I've seen it time and time again. Organizations build it, it sits stale, it loses interest. And that can happen for 6 months, that can happen for 12 months, 18 months. And that's where you start to really lose momentum and lose interest across the organization as to, hey, is this something that can really help scale and advance our organization? Ideally, you really need to focus on, not trying to do too much upfront. I think as the organization learns to adopt marketplace, and part of marketplace being co-sell and collaborating with a hyperscaler sales organization, you really want to focus on maybe a select number of core listings or offerings, maybe 20% of your SKUs that drive maybe 80% of the revenue. Maybe try 1 to 3 SKUs up front. Really trying to understand not only just the SKUs that are listed, but in addition to that, on top of it, there are additional tools within marketplace that your organization really needs to adopt. When I talked about finance and accounting, or deal desk and operations and managing your marketplace listings, there are tools within marketplace that you need to evaluate. And these are some of the things that actually Tackle within their tool has kind of helped demystify and help simplify. It's a very in-depth and difficult solution to kind of understand right off the bat immediately. And that's been kind of a really big benefit of us working with Tackle for the last 5 or so years, is us basically time to market, time to value, instead of us trying to do it on our own, where it could take us maybe 4, 6, 8 months to figure out how do we even list this. And now that we've listed it, how can we take advantage of all the different tools and technologies within the marketplace? There's flexible payment tools. There's a variety of different, future start dates, and there's a variety of tools that can help create parity within your direct sales motion, but somewhere else, such as marketplace. And then as you're going through all of this, I would say the most important thing is as you're kind of crafting and socializing this across the various departments across the organization to get buy-in. And then you're obviously smoothing out, is this going to impact full commission, full quota for the sales? How is this going to be viewed as a cost of goods sold, or is this going to actually, hit our salespeople? the enablement piece. The enablement piece is not a, set it and forget it or a one-time specific thing. I could not be any more focused or urgent, provide any more sense of urgency on the essence of, hey, you need to pound the enablement piece as a enterprise organization leveraging this. You have a lot of sellers. I'm sure a lot of sellers are getting enablement every day, every other day, once a week. It can become very, very painful for them to say, oh, geez, another training. Oh, another training, another field in Salesforce. So I would try to demystify that as best as you possibly can. Cloud partners have fantastic decks. Tackle has fantastic decks that can help kind of socialize that, turn it into a C spot run. Really simplify the way that your organizations can learn to absorb, adopt, and then take that motion to market. But at the end of the day, it's very, very simple. At first, it's not simple, but once people lean in, they will really start to understand this is almost like second nature in the essence that marketplace is just a product. It's a solution or a product that you can leverage. It's a procurement vehicle to basically allow your customers options when procuring your solutions or your offerings. So I want to, now that we've talked about some of the three bold truths, I would like to kind of talk a little bit about the marketplace. What's the skinny on the marketplace, and like, why does it actually matter to you? Why does it matter to your customers? And at the end of the day, how does this actually impact, revenue? Well, in our business, we actually see that this makes transactions and procurement processes simpler. How does it do that? Well, for a customer, this can actually provide parity of our SKUs that we have on the direct side of the business when customers are transacting with us directly. And we try to create parity to all three hyperscaler marketplaces. Try to provide the exact same thing. Hey, if you've got budget already allocated to a hyperscaler or to your cloud budget, et cetera, and we can tap into that, that's absolutely something that we'd like to do. In addition to that, there's a lot of different things around contracts. So universal agreements, streamlining legal and procurement. I could not be any more excited about this specific topic because I think we all, as sales leaders or go-to-market leaders, we can basically view that sometimes our direct agreements with customers can be a little bit cumbersome, a lot of back and forth redlining. There's a lot of challenges that we face around there. And one of the biggest things as an enterprise organization, you can adopt templated contracts that are basically approved by AWS or by Microsoft or by Google, and you can amend those contracts. But it at least gives a solid framework that is more of what you would consider a buyer-friendly agreement. And that is in addition to your direct MSA or your direct EULA. You can still use your direct MSAs. If you've got a customer that you've already been working with, we typically do that very often. We'll take that direct MSA, we'll use that as the buying or the governing agreement when we transact your marketplace. So we've already gone through that paperwork. But if you're using the universal agreements and it's a net new customer, very often we run into a customer that says, hey, we've actually gotten most of, 90% of this agreement already approved. We just need to maybe go through a little bit of the additional red lines on any of the amendments that you add. And that can really help streamline things. And there's a good colleague and friend of mine that has an old saying of legal and procurement is where innovation goes to die. And so why I like to harp on this specific topic is because universal agreements and streamlining that legal and procurement is really critical to not only make deals happen quickly, but to avoid major pitfalls of potential 3, 6, 9, 12 months of redlining. But in addition to that, we typically, when we have our products on marketplace, we're typically getting ourselves exposed to what is many considered co-sell. Co-sell is the act or the motion where we're collaborating with a hyperscaler's go-to-market sales organization. That can be a very powerful tool in the essence of we can work with our co-sell counterparts at a hyperscaler to get a seat at the table with budget holders, decision makers. We kind of call marketplace and co-sell internally, we call that our path to budget. We see a lot of our customers have major cloud spend commitments committed to hyperscalers. We start working with those co-sell counterparts at hyperscalers, and we're able to basically start to really understand what their buying cycles are like, where they are, getting access to the decision makers that really understand, is this a feasible option? Is this something that they truly need and understand? And it can really help kind of, demystify and cut through the fat of, talking to the wrong people, not being multi-threaded across the organization to get the right people in to help a motion go much smoother. And I think that's the biggest thing. Those are some of the biggest benefits that we see. So I think at the end of the day, while within our organization, we've already gotten cut through all of it in terms of just aligning all of marketplace fees to be more of a cost of goods sold. We basically do not ding our sales reps on it. We highly recommend you guys do the same as enterprise organizations or any ISV. Make sure that your sellers are attaining 100% quota retirement, 100% commission, whether they're going direct or they're using a marketplace. As you get up to scale on a lot of marketplaces, it becomes such a minute transaction fee. It's irrelevant. You're likely going to see sellers across the board discounting more than what that transaction fee is, just doing normal direct deals. In addition to that, while most transactions with marketplace flow through marketplace, the nature of co-sell does not technically require marketplace. So after you list your product on marketplace, it doesn't mean when you start co-selling with a counterpart at a hyperscaler that you can't do a deal unless it goes through marketplace. You're just trying to give options. Remember, it's all about SKU parity, price parity, meeting customers where they are, path to budget. Co-sell can still happen outside of it. You can still collaborate with your hyperscalers. It just, you'll run into situations where maybe, occasionally we will have a deal that we thought was slated for marketplace. It happens maybe 5 or 10% of the time at most. That maybe will go outside of marketplace and we'll end up just taking it direct. But there will be typically a very big business reason from the customer as to why they may or may not be able to transact through a certain manner. But typically that's supported by both organizations, and we usually don't run into any blockers there. And then in addition to that, our leadership within our organization has basically been very supportive of us trying to get all of our solutions on marketplace. And at the end of the day, it just kind of goes back to what we just talked about: price parity, getting our products where they need to be on, and giving customers options across the board. So at the end of the day, I think that this gives you maybe a little snapshot as to what you can see, how they marketplace can be a benefit. And I think at the end of the day, this can be a great thing for you guys. It's been a fantastic solution for us. We've seen the marketplace program working with Tackle, more than double year over year for the last 4 years. So we see this as a logical route to market and something that continues to grow. So again, thank you to the partners today. Thank you to Tackle, and really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it.